Construction sites are dangerous at the best of times, and that goes doubly so for Toronto's wildlife, who are at risk of being injured or displaced by new buildings.
It was in behind an industrial building where they were doing some construction, and at no fault of their own, as they were digging up this space, they dug up a groundhog. This groundhog was down in its burrow, hibernating. I can only imagine this was pretty startling, and probably being in its, slower state, it probably was just kind of like, what the heck is going on? The operator, horrified to see what had just happened, immediately called our hotline, and fortunately, we were very close. Our hotline dispatched the rescue team, and we were able to race over and collect this poor little thing that had just been so rudely woken up. It was a fairly easy rescue because this little one was practically asleep. We were able to put a cage in front of it. It gave up a little fight, and ultimately I had to grab the groundhog and then place him into the cage.
Even though the groundhog appeared to be unharmed by the excavator, the rescue team was deeply concerned about his health.
Seeing this burrow system that had been exposed, that was lined with garbage bags and grocery bags and any kind of plastic that the animal could find, was quite disturbing. It seemed a little small when we grabbed him, so I'm curious to see, if this guy was managing okay when he went down into hibernation.
The rescue team brought the groundhog safely back to Toronto Wildlife Centre for immediate care. The rehabilitation team quietly began to examine the frightened animal.
He came in, we did a test run. We're noticing he's a little bit weak in his hind end, and he's also really skinny. So we've got our vet team looking into it, and right now we're just gonna work on feeding him and getting him hydrated before we can assess for any other injuries that might have happened, or for the underlying cause for why he was so skinny and dehydrated before he went into hibernation.
Katie and the rehabilitation team gave the groundhog the necessary fluids to help rebuild his strength. Soon after, the vets performed an X-ray to check for broken bones. Thankfully, there were none.
The groundhog, after its tough time being disturbed through its hibernation, it seems to actually be okay, which is fantastic news.
Here specifically, there's a ravine system right here.
I can't be more thankful that it didn't sustain any injury from the incident, because it could have been a lot worse than it was. So ideally, we get any of our rehabilitated animals back into the wild as soon as possible. Unfortunately, this is a unique circumstance that this animal not only was pulled out of hibernation, but he did lose his home. And we can't just put him back out into the wild now that, winter is among us. So he's gonna have to stay with us all winter long. And then as soon as spring hits, back out into the wild. And in the spot that he's from, there's a nice span of space for a groundhog. So he'll easily be able to reclaim a new spot. However, his spot that he needs right now is gone.
For now, our team is making sure the groundhog is well cared for until spring arrives, when it will be warm enough for him to find a safe new home.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit the bell to be notified when we share new content. We would also love if you shared this video with a friend.